traveling to these countries won't be required to pay additional services for data or any other related mobile services. While speaking at the Platinum Night event to welcome telecommunications services provider Telecel into Ghana, Vice President Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia said this move will enhance businesses among these countries when it becomes successful.
Although adopted in 2016, Ghana's free roaming services agreement with Côte d'Ivoire in June 2023 presents the first such arrangement. Ghana has also signed an agreement with Togo to begin free roaming services between the two countries this year. The National Communications Authority is also engaging Benin and the Gambia to establish similar free roaming bilateral agreements.
Let's do stories in health, where doctors of the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital are threatening to strike action over persistent orders to move consultants and specialties doctors living in the Yami enclave of their residents. Well, this comes after the practitioners called on the Konfanochi Teaching Doctors Association and the Magicana Medical Association to intervene in what they describe as constant harassment to get them to leave.
Close to about 20-something doctors plus other staff of the Konfanochi and other doctors from other hospitals. So we thought it wise that if you are being evicted, then we meet and decide as a group what is the next step. And what came out, the unanimous decision was to lay down our tools tomorrow by 6 a.m. and then go and look for accommodation.
And governments cannot deliberately compromise on the quality of food for students. Well, that is the position of the Deputy Education Minister designate, Professor Kingsley Yanko, regarding the senior high schools feeding Ruhaha.
Sacrifice for our nation. You know what I mean? These values are non-negotiable. We need to invite them in our children for them to have them in order for us to have the gains that we are all yearning for. So, I mean, I'm happy that we noticed that and we factor that into the standard-based curriculum that is being implemented now.
From your interactions, I've realized you are a big fan and supporter of the Free Senior High School initiative. I mean, one key challenge that come up over the recent period is about the issue about feeding and the quality of food served to the peoples. As a Deputy Minister designate, what is your thought and how do you think we can improve that?
Okay, so I mean, this is a matter that has been in the public space. I don't have the full facts. I watched something from your outfit, and for me, I need to understand it well to find out whether it is pervasive or it's an isolated, instance. I had a discussion with the minister, and I mean, the ministry wouldn't sit there for the food for our children not to be of certain higher quality. They wouldn't do that. So if these things are reported, I'm sure that the minister and the ministry will take the necessary steps to address them. Okay, so I don't have the full facts, but the government, the ministry wouldn't compromise the food that are used to feed our children. They wouldn't do that.
Safe to suggest that you agree with the position of government or the ministry that there's little to nothing wrong with the program?
No, the point I'm making is that you have sent children to school. There's possibility to feed them. And I don't think that the ministry will do anything that will compromise the freedom of the students. That's what I'm saying. So, and now also aware that there are monitoring interventions to ensure that quality food is provided for the learners. What I say about that? Yeah.
Even after the interrogation from the minority leader on the number of the day schools that have been completed by the NDCA and the MPP, do you still stand with your position that the government actually completed some 31 out of it?
I said that I was in a meeting. The education committee met that fund. The minority side was there, our side was there, and the figures were put before us. None of the minority members there challenged that. So what we were told on that day was that 29 had been completed by the NDC administration and 31 had been completed by the NPP administration. Talking about 2021, 2022 thereabout. That was when we were told. What the minority leader put across was a purported
news fabrication.
Yeah, from the former minister for education, Dr. Matepoku Prempe. And I said that I have not seen the context within which he made that pronouncement. It could also be that by the time the minister made that statement, he might not have gone around to inspect those completed projects before making that. It's possible, but because I don't have the context, I wouldn't speak to that, but I'm putting on record that the figures I gave were figures from the GET Farm administrator. So you can double check from him whether what I'm saying is otherwise.
And the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Ashley Moore, has revealed plans to deploy drones for monitoring during this year's general elections. Well, this initiative is part of effort to secure over 2 million votes for the party and strengthen the monitoring system to prevent rigging.
To create a regional call center to make avenue for feedback and collected samples and data from our constituencies. We also do prompting. We did prompting and mobilization and monitoring of the elections. We had zonal teams this time around. I can tell you on authority that the strategy that we used for 2019 presidential primaries was the same strategy that our national chairman also used at North, and it yields results. So we can promise that this time we are going to divide the region into 8 zones for us to make sure that what we did for 2020, 2019, we did at the same time to make sure we get some of the vote again. The Greater Accra region next week is going to train constituency executive to train them how to use drones to monitor what happens in our national chairman said the media is here, so I'll pause so that I need the
Now let's move to Parliament, where chaos erupted in Parliament when Majority Leader Alexander Afenyomakin attacked the personality of John Dramani Mahama's running mate, Professor Nana Jane Opoku Ajiman. Well, according to the legislator, she failed to deliver on her mandate despite occupying key positions in the past government.
Today, they say that we should allow them to govern Ghana again. Mr. Speaker, is it the same old NDC? Is it the same old John Mahama? Mr. Speaker, perish the thought. Perish the thought. Should he even get the opportunity? He has only 4 years constitutionally. Mr. Speaker, there will be no sense of urgency in him because he has nothing to lose. Even if you look at his choice of running mate, he could not get somebody that one could say that, look, they are planning for the future. The person is over 70 years. You have no succession plan. Mr. Speaker, from day one, the government will be in crisis. Mr. Speaker, from day one, their government will be in crisis. Mr. Speaker, they want to pick the very old person who could not perform at the education ministry, who could not, as I submitted earlier. If you even look at how they paraded their leadership, clearly they have not put in place a visionary leadership for the country's long-term future. Mr. Speaker, the flag bearer constitutionally has just a term. Should that happen, the flag bearer has gone for a running mate. Mr. Speaker, under normal circumstances, they should have given us a running mate who would give a future to Ghana. Like we have given a flag bearer who represents the future of Ghana. You have brought a flag bearer who, a running mate who retired from UCC as VC, came to Ministry of Education, performed abysmally. The E-blocks, she could not complete them. She did only 29. Today you say the running mate should be the future of this country. Mr. Speaker, when Mr. Speaker, they could not even introduce.
Meanwhile, the National Democratic Congress female MPs in Parliament has reiterated that the majority leader's remarks made concerning the age of the running mate of the John Dramani Mahama initiative are an attack on womanhood and of age, of course.
Our leader spoke to Folsom, and when we go to Honorable Aponyo Markin's turn, I think that what he has done this morning has been despicable, and I speak against it because I am a daughter of a teacher who retired and sold in Medina Market. The examples that I found that has brought me to be a member of Parliament includes, if you count 10 people, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, a former Minister of State for Education, the first female Vice Chancellor in this country, ESCO, where Honorable Aponyo Markin attended, and for him to change the discussion on the floor to attack this woman, the way in which he did, is totally unacceptable. I take exception to that, and I think that we cannot, only on the 8th of March, celebrate Women's Day, International Women's Day, where we are asking that we need mentors for our young girls to grow and become like. And for him to reduce this woman as if he was talking about his co-equal or his classmate, somebody who has taught you
communication skills,
a person who has been elected by the biggest party in this country to be the running mate to President John Dramani Mahama. What business has this woman's name got in the closing remarks of the State of the Nation address? I am horrified. I think that we deserve an apology from the leader for the way in which he has brought this woman's name into disrepute. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, should not have allowed this to go on. The second Deputy Speaker should not have allowed this to go on. It went on for a few minutes.
For a woman, intelligent, yes. She has all it takes. Well accomplished, all it takes to be a running mate. She qualifies in every single way. She qualifies in every single manner. But we cannot be having this kind of talk. It's almost like trash talk, and we will not accept it in this chamber. And Honorable Afonyo must apologize, must withdraw, and must do the needful. For somebody who taught him communication skills, this is not what she taught him. Nana Jane taught me as well. This is not what I exemplify. So he should better go back and revise his notes and do the needful. And this is a sign, and it implies that either he does not respect the aged woman even in society.
Yes.
Nobody has in this chamber, as of today, has spoken about the age of President Akufo-Addo, who was equally old,
Actually older.
if not even older, even when he came on the seat. So please, we demand an apology, and we are not taking this lightly at all. And the Central Region is very offended by this. He is from the Central Region. He should know better, and he should do better. And the woman of Winneba should also rise up and tell him that what he's saying is wrong. His behavior is wrong. He should not be personalizing this. She has nothing to do with the state of the nation. The nation is in coma. It's comatose. You should figure out how they're going to fix it. After 7 years, you should not be complaining about the NDC this or the NDC that.
And we ask that the leadership of the MPP, together with him, apologize to us as members of the NDC and also to Nana Jane officially, because this was superintended over by the second deputy speaker. Some of us rose, we were on our feet protesting that he should stop him from going ahead. We are not happy. All the ladies here, please, let's stand against this type of statement. If a man at 70 plus could be a president, a woman at 70 plus could still be a vice.
A flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, says the lack of concentration will crush the party's request to return into power in the 2024 general elections. Well, he has, however, asked all the NDC members to extremely be vigilant during the December 7 presidential election to secure his comeback and not to repeat the mistakes of 2020.
It's going to be vigilant. We can do all the campaigning we want on the day. If we are not vigilant and we don't cover every single polling station with eagle eyes, you do all the campaigning you can, beautiful campaign, razzmatazz, but at the end you will not achieve the objective that you want. And so Greater Accra particularly, we want you to cover your polling stations with the best party agents. The Election Directorate, you are aware, is conducting some exercises. They've been conducting exams for election directors in the constituencies and the regions, because we need the best people who understand the electoral system to be able to monitor the elections in the region. And so some of you are unhappy because some elections directors didn't pass, and so they had to be replaced. We should not be sentimental in these appointments, because those particular appointments are so critical. You must be able to write in figures and in words. If you can't write in figures and in words, I tell you write 257,000, and you can't write it in figures and in words. You have no business being the elections director for a constituency or a region. And so let's put sentimentality aside and let's appoint the right people. When it comes to party selection again, as I've said several times before, let us select the best people who can be trained to understand the process. The elections process has become more sophisticated than it was in the past. In the past, we used to appoint party agents just to identify the voters and make sure that they are not imposters. But now, that is not the work of the party agent, because the biometric verification machine is able to determine whether a person is a voter or not. So you don't select somebody who knows everybody in the village. You select somebody who knows how to read the pink sheets, make sure that the right results have been recorded on the pink sheets, make sure that the number on the biometric verification machine is the same as the ballots that were in the box. That's the kind of party agent you need.
And the Ministry of Food and Agriculture on Tuesday, March 12, launched a nationwide registration of farmers as part of the second phase of the Planning for Food and Jobs program. While in a press briefing, the Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Brian Champon, encouraged farmers nationwide to participate in the upcoming registration process.
Of course, land that is in a way titled or properly secured by your good self. We have to capture your profile at the district level by the district agric officers. We have to pick the polygon map or polygon points or coordinates of your farm. You must be a Ghanaian first. or a resident Ghanaian with a valid Ghana card or a Ghana issued identity card. And of course, we're praying that the first set of farmers that come on board are those who are prioritizing the selected value chain crops. The farmer registration for PFJ will be conducted across the 16 regions and 261 districts in Ghana. And that process starts tomorrow. To facilitate the process, a mobile and web application platform, which is the Ghana Agriculture and Agribusiness Platform, GAP.com, GHAAP.com, has been developed.
Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf has claimed that Ghana is receiving great plaudits for the organization of the ongoing African Games. Well, he made a revelation at a press briefing on Monday evening where he addressed issues emanating from the Games.
All the confederation and the federations, the equipment that they are going to use for the Games, and when they submitted their list, we went through with them and the equipment was procured and delivered to all the federations. For basketball, the federation head is seated here. Basketball alone, we spent not less than $500,000 to procure equipment for basketball. And aside this, we have procured international, all these equipment are for international standard that we are going to use for our various competitions and even training beyond the game. So it is something that we should be proud of as a country, that for the legacies of the African Games, we are going to have more modern and world standard equipment for our teams to use for training for future competitions as part of the legacies for these games. But of course here, if the Danso will give some few remarks, then our team Ghana, then if there are questions, the federation heads are here, they can help us to respond to those questions. Thank you.
And the Minister for Energy, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, has disclosed the reasons behind the recent power outages experienced in some parts of the country. According to him, what is currently being witnessed is not what we call doomsday.
When it comes to electricity, we've been challenged for some time. Before His Excellency got into office, we faced a situation where we literally have 3 days of 1 day or half day of electricity.
Is that what you call doomsday?
That is the only Ghanaian.
That's the only Ghanaian word I know.
But we moved from doomsday, my brother. We moved from doomsday. We are at the situation called doomsday.
And the ranking member of the Energy Committee of Parliament, John Jinapor, has accused the Electricity Company of Ghana of what he described as disseminating misinformation regarding the recent surge in intermittent power outages, popularly known as what we call doomsday. Well, while the ECG attributes these outages to overloaded and faulty transformers, Mr. Jinapor contends that the widespread load shedding is a result of financial issues, not technical glitches, as claimed by the ECG.
It's been almost a year now, and we've been monitoring it. And I can confidently, but sadly, confirm to you that the current load shedding we are experiencing is not technical. It is financial. It's due to mismanagement. It's due to a gross abuse of the cash water flow mechanism and misapplication of the funds. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go to page 1 of the report, and I'll show to you, the total amount of 820 million was received. 820 million. Indeed, government is supposed to top up an amount of 200 million, and you can see it here. Ministry of Finance top up. The Ministry of Finance is expected to release an amount of 200 million to add to the 800 million, so that you will have about 1 billion cedis for disbursement. Of this disbursement, what they call category A, which is the IPPs, they are supposed to receive 500 million. Then the other 300 million, as you can see in the document, is shared amongst the rest. Then the Ministry of Finance pays the 200. But when you read this report, and that is where our problem comes from, ECG collects 820 million. Instead of paying 500 million to the power sector players, ECG decides that, and this is here, page 2, paragraph 2.3, actual disbursement of revenue to sector players. The total actual revenue reported by ECG to level A beneficiaries stood at 120 million. Instead of 500 million, they paid 120 million to the IPPs. That is one problem. 2, instead of paying the 300 million to Gridco, VRA, and the other power sector players, they paid 162 million. So what it means is that over 500 million cedis cannot be accounted for. Over 500 million cedis has been used outside the cash waterfall mechanism. We do not know where that money went to.
Let's do some international news, where the UN Secretary General